This is your spoiler warning for Season 5, Episode 2 of Black Mirror Smithereens. If you have yet to see the episode, then please click off now, but that is your full spoiler warning, so let's get talking. Smithereens, the second episode of Black Mirror, Season 5, and it's really good. This one really stands out to me, more than the last one. This episode is handled really well. The main character, Chris Gilhaney, is played by Andrew Scott, and Andrew Scott does a great job of being manic, being just losing his mind and just being emotional and portraying lots of emotions just really well. He handled that just very well. He did a really good job, and this was, I thought, a standout performance from him. I've seen him in a couple of things, so I knew he was a good actor, but he did a great job in this. So what we find is that he basically works as an Uber, and he is only picking people up that are near this Smithereen building. And that was interesting. I think it was maybe the second person he picked up when he asked that question, that clicked for me, and I realized, oh, he's only picking people up from that building. Why is that? So basically, as the episode continues, and it's about a 70-minute episode, more of that unravels. And very quickly, it gets to the point where he kidnaps this guy, and it turns out he's only an intern, which is not what he needed. And then he drives off, and obviously his plan wasn't that great. He's not a criminal, so his plans aren't the best. There's lots of flaws here, but that's good because he's not a criminal, so of course there aren't. He has no experience in this stuff, as we find later. So he kidnaps this guy, and he finds he's only an intern, but then sooner than later the cops see him with the guy in his car, and they chase after him. And I think somewhere around 20 or 30 minutes in, then he's already in a field, his car is stopped, he can't go anywhere, and the cops are around him. And that happens pretty soon, and then effectively the rest of the episode takes place in real time of, oh, we're in this situation. There's a lot of time left in this episode, though. How is this going to play out? And it's all done really well. The episode is really well paced, and I thought that was handled very well. And the way that they slowly unravel what's happening it's just well handled. And I was very curious for a long portion, why is he doing this? What is motivating him? And then when it's finally revealed, it's so simple. It's something so simple. He just wanted to talk to this guy who created Smithereen. He wanted to talk to him about his wife who had died because he looked at the phone for a few seconds. He wanted to talk to him about how addictive he had made that app. And that's all he wanted to do. Because he keeps trying to get a hold of Topher Grace's character, and he finally does. And I do really like Topher Grace's character, by the way. He basically plays the guy who created this, and they have to bother him. He's living, I think he's in Utah. He's not living there, but he's on like a 10-day retreat. And there's this great, brilliant moment when he's disturbed, and the person's like, hey, we've got a situation, we need you. And there's this close-up on Topher Grace, and his reaction to that is just perfect, and the way he says it is great. And I really like that he cast Topher Grace because he just does a really good job of being just that kind of a little bit dorky, but also being an adult, and he just does that really well. And I like how he basically does what he wants. They're telling him, no, you don't call this guy, but he does it anyway. They won't help him, and he's like, well, fine, I'll do it myself, because he's super nerdy and he can do that stuff, even though they're not going to help him. So then he gets his number, and then he calls him, and that conversation, when we find out why Chris Gilhaney has been doing all this, it's just so simple that I loved it. It's so simple, and it worked brilliantly. And I didn't feel like this episode of Black Mirror had a lot to say that hasn't been said before, but what it says is handled really well, and is in a really well-directed episode, and a really well-acted episode, and a really, really solid story, and a really engaging one. So even though it doesn't feel like it has a ton new to bring to the table, what it has on the table is handled really well, and makes for a great episode. Overall, I really liked Smithereens. It was a very solid episode with some great performances and a very interesting narrative hook of what is his purpose, what is his goal, what is he doing, and when we finally figure it out, it's so simple that it just works so well, and it's so beautiful, and I just loved how all of these elements were handled and balanced over the course of these 70 minutes. Everything flowed really well, the pacing was really good, and this was so far the standout episode of the season, and it definitely, I would say, in the top 10 of Black Mirror, and I just thought this was a really solid episode, and I'm going to give Smithereens a rating of 9 out of 10. So that's going to do it for now, folks. I've talked about Smithereens and Striking Vipers, and if you join me next week, I will be talking, oh, not next week, as soon as possible, maybe even tomorrow, then I'll be talking about the season finale for Season 5 of Black Mirror, Series 5 of Black Mirror, whatever you want to call it. So that's going to be soon, and I'm excited to talk about that. But if you're not interested in that, why wouldn't you be if you watch this video, I guess. But if you're interested in other things rather, such as Doctor Who reviews, Game of Thrones reviews, I even have a review for Veep Season 7, for the Good Omens show. I've got lots of stuff going on right now. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check that out. If not, that's totally cool. I just appreciate your time watching the video now. So I hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching. Take care, and have a lovely week.